Brought to you by Raising the Vibe, a nonprofit organization supporting the growth of conscious communities.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rebecca Paris with Raising the Vibe. So glad to have all of you here. I am the founder and executive director of Raising the Vibe, which is a nonprofit connection hub for self-actualization tools, holistic healing, and conscious community practices. And all this information can be found on raisingthevibe.org. So happy to have Laura Mccann and Jim Levinson with us today, who work and live together in Asheville. I was so pleased to happen to run into them around Christmas time at the Grove Arcade when my son and I were out Christmas shopping, and we saw Jim outside at the desk with an aura photography or an aura reading device. So we were so into checking that out, and we both had our whole printout done, and then we went in and met Laura, who set us up with all sorts of chakra aromatherapy, and just had the best time. And then I brought Robert back with us, and just had a wonderful connection. So that's how we met, and I just thought that'd be a great presentation for Raising the Vibe. Laura is the CEO of ADORAtherapy, and Jim is the CEO of ADORAtherapy. The two came together, twin flames, with a common interest in vibrational healing and consciousness. A veteran entrepreneur who spent 30 years in New York in the fashion and tech and retail consulting industries, Laura co-founded ADORAtherapy in 2015. A manufacturer of aromatherapy, body care, and candles. The business first catered to spas and specialty retailers, and pivoted to retail when she opened her first store in Asheville during COVID, which was on 11/11/2021. With a product range specifically for the chakras, Laura calls herself a life coach in a bottle. Jim soon joined with the new service, Aura Photography. An engineer over 20 years, Jim brought high tech to what was traditionally a psychic and photographic art, aura readings. A Reiki master, crystal wrangler, and experienced pendulum aficionado, a reading with Jim is data-driven and informative. Laura intuitively interprets the aura and chakra readings and combines breathwork and healing technologies with each reading in the store. With almost 1,300 aura readings and chakra readings under their belt, Laura and Jim have developed an understanding of the mind, body, and spirit that when shared, allow each to transform into our best selves. They are excited to share with us tonight what they have learned and how we can take this information to guide us on our journey to be more conscious beings. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction.
Sure. And then I think we're going to make you host.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Share screen.
Yeah. Let me know. Okay, great.
Great.
Fantastic. And then let's put this into
Power presentation mode.
Where is that? Oh, down here. There we go. Let me know if you can see that, everybody.
Perfect.
Good? Okay, great. Well, it's so nice to be here. Yeah, great. It's so nice to be here. Jim and I have only done a presentation like this to a group once before. And there were so many questions. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to do a little bit of education at the beginning, and then we're going to do a self-assessment somewhere in the middle. And there'll be a moment where you can we'll take a moment to do questions, and you're welcome. I know you're on mute, so you can maybe put them in the chat for us to see, or Rebecca will see them and let us know, but we're happy to answer questions along the way as well. Otherwise, there's going to be a specific time where we can do that. So this is the agenda. We're going to talk about the aura color personality, which is why your aura might be a dominant color and what color that is. We're going to talk about your chakras and how to take all this information to raise your vibration, which is so perfect that we're here with Raising the Vibe, so that you can really have the life that you want. something dear to my heart, which is this idea of adoring yourself and what that means. And then some tips and tricks for how to do this yourself. So Rebecca mentioned I'm Laura, and my side of this is the chakras and the aromatherapy. And Jim is the aura reader extraordinaire, and he's going to take this and start it for us and jump right in. So let's see, there you go. So let's just make sure everybody understands what auras and chakras are. And here we go.
Okay, so what is an aura? This is an energy that everybody has, and it comes from a resultant of your chi energies that come from your 7 main chakras. And if I would say that your chakras would be a micro, your aura would be a macro. So the aura would be something that would be a slow changer over time. And this would basically show the current state of your health for your mind, body, and spirit, to see if you're healthy or not, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And there's different ways to see an aura. There are people, psychics, and certain people that can see auras. I personally cannot see auras. I'm data driven myself. Then there's Kirlian technology. There's aura software, and that's what we use. We use this latest aura software where there's actually, this came from a lady, her name was Valerie Hunt, and she had studied for a professor at UCLA, and she had studied for 25 years the auras and chakras and worked with people that could see auras. And all of this data was actually put into this software. And they've been doing this for about 12 years, this software, and this is the latest 3D version. It is possible you can potentially see a disease if there's somebody sick and they get their aura read, because this software will actually show your aura in 360 degrees rotating. But that's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to give everyone data and information and then go from there.
So yeah, what are chakras? So chakras are the energy in the body that help regulate all of our physical processes. There are more than 7 chakras, but we mostly talk about the 7, which start at the root, which is near the pelvic area. And then you have the sacral, which is the belly, the solar plexus, which is right here, kind of the gut area. And then you have your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. So when we're talking about chakras, we're talking about those 7 chakras. They each have a color that's been assigned to them and a vibrational frequency. And there's specific things that correspond to the chakra. I'd say it's a combination of physical, emotional, and psycho-spiritual. So each part of the body has multiple aspects to it. And when we see a chakra that is, let's say, high, meaning it's vibrating at the right frequency, it's healthy and it's flowing, versus a chakra that is low, which would be one where there's energy that is blocked. We have the ability to understand how somebody is managing their energy and where they have an opportunity for improvement, but also where there may be some held back energy that once expanded can help with a healing. And the same as with the aura reading, it's not really something you can't really say, I can see your chakras, but psychics often can tell you if they see blocked energy. And healers, especially Reiki healers or people who do hands-on, can scan the body and feel if there's energy that is blocked. And some of you may have already had somebody do that kind of work on you. You can also use pendulums to intuit what chakras are low or high. But again, the software has been incredible. We've done almost 1,300 readings, and the accuracy of the chakra reading and the aura reading has been tremendous. And so we obviously feel the software is the way to go, but we know everybody would like to know what's going on without that. And we're going to see if we can give you some tools today to self-assess.
Hey, Jim, you're going to have to let people in, admit them in.
Okay. Oh, I
And
see.
people
Yeah.
are waiting. Okay, here
Yeah,
we
we
go.
see
That'll be
them.
participants.
Yeah.
See where you add
Great.
waiting room.
Thank you. Got it.
All right, we got it.
All right.
Now you have to move that. out of
Yeah.
the way.
Let's do that. Okay. Well, let's see if I can X that out. Great.
You gotta move
All right.
forward.
Yes, I know. Go
All right.
back. All right.
Okay.
So this is a little bit, Jim's going to talk to you. This is some data that comes off of our specific Aura technology, and Jim's going to explain this a little bit now.
So this software will generate your electromagnetic aura, but it will also generate a 14-page report. And these are some of the charts that come out from the report. You can see on the left side, it will show your aura in 360 degrees. And this is very important because the different locations of your aura is you need to see your whole body, because each location of your aura means something different. And we'll go through all of that in just a few minutes. And then you can see in the center here, we have different aura colors. You know, this is what we give to the client. They'll get the top quadrant of their aura, and then the 360-degree aura comes in the report. Then we have charts. If we look in the center bottom, this will show your chakras. It'll go from the root, which is on the left, all the way to the crown, which is on the right, and it will have a relative number. I like to see 4 and above all the way across, and only about 5% of everyone is 4 and above. Those are my rock stars, and they get a special crystal. On their lowest chakra, I will give you a crystal. So basically 1 to 3 would be low, 4 to 6 is medium, anything over 6 is high. And so I discuss that with the client on how the chakras are. And then once we're done, as I mentioned, they get a crystal on their low chakra, and then they get aromatherapy session with Laura or myself to help balance their chakras.
Can you talk a little bit about these charts, Jim?
The charts on the right, this on the top right, this will show your 4 main chakra energy channels, and they're going to vary. It's going to show it in kilohertz. So if it's very low, it goes from 100 to 1000 kilohertz in frequency. If it's very low, that means that typically they need to boost their aura size. When it gets up higher in the middle and high, it's good. If it gets in extremely high, then that is where you need to be careful. And I'm extremely high, but when you're that high, you have to constantly stay grounded. And that's the only downside about being extremely high. Then the next chart on the right is your level of emotional excitement. This is your inner thoughts and feelings. There's no right or wrong. It's either high, medium, or centered and stable. And then the chart underneath that looks like a bullseye. This shows the size of your aura. Typically, the aura sizes will vary between 30 and 60%. Most people will have a 40% aura. And then, so this software will give you about a 10% accuracy, or it's accuracy plus or minus 5% with the aura, but then I can dial that into about a 2% accuracy by using divining rods. And I can actually use a divining rod like finding water, but I can actually find the outer perimeter of their aura. The next chart underneath shows the yin, how your masculine and feminine, your yin and yang are in harmony. Your yin is the plus and the yang is the arrow. The best case scenario is when they're right on top of one another, when the plus and the arrow is right on top, just like this. This shows that you're in perfect balance, perfect harmony with your masculine and feminine. It will also point to the primary chakra color. The last chart on the bottom right shows your level of relaxation. And most people are a little nervous when they get their auras read. So this will show most people are about 3 bars. And so anything over 3 bars shows that you're a little bit more relaxed than most when you're trying to be.
Great. And so here you can see an example of my aura, which was done in June. And I'm primarily indigo and blue with an indigo center, balanced yin and yang in my throat chakra, a very low third eye, but a very high throat chakra. And the other ones are pretty good, a little low on the heart and on the crown. And so with this kind of information, I can see if I'm in balance. So typically an indigo and violet or blue person would be much more upper chakra driven, and mine are low. So clearly some imbalance going on here that would need some work. Without this kind of chart, I wouldn't know that. But now that I've done multiple readings, I can sort of tell when I feel a certain way, what's going on with my chakras. And that's really what this is all about. It's about giving you context so that you can then work on yourself. So because we don't have the technology today, we're going to give you a few insights into what all the different colors are and see if you can self-assess. All right, and Jim will also give you some examples of people we've met along the way who have a dominant color. And this would be your center color primarily. This wouldn't be your top or left or right. It would be your center color.
Yes. So the center of your aura, that's actually shown on your 360-degree aura photo. That shows your personality type. So for a red, we basically have one main color, red. That would include deep red and red. That we see a lot in rescue dogs, and we'll see orange and red. We've done over 1,300 people, and out of those 1,300, we've had one person who had red, and it's very survival, fight or flight, survival oriented, and that person had a very traumatic childhood issue that happened, very traumatic. So it also shows if you're a powerful, heavy, grounding, competitive, but most people, even if they are strong will, they will initially show red, but then it'll fade into orange. Orange is close to red, but it's just not as intense. It takes someone with a really hard life, to keep with red. Orange, as I mentioned, it's a creative. This is your creativity in regards to your emotional expression. And it's also adventurous, courageous, and courageous is also is the same as red. And then it also is emotional. Yellow is a pretty common color that we have. And this, if the yellow is in the top, it's your mental thoughts. And then if it's in the center, that's going to be your personality, and it's analytical. It's your creativity in regards to your emotional and analytical thoughts. These are intelligent people that work with numbers, scientific, and it's really interesting whenever I do aura reading. Sometimes it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to fully lock in. Sometimes the client will have solid yellow all the way across the top quadrant, and then it'll slowly fade in. I've only had a few stay solid yellow, but what that means is the person is very analytical, and that's right more often than not when I talk to the customer.
And I think orange, percentage-wise, rare. It's rare to see an orange center. It's probably more like 5% to 10%. Yellow is a very dominant color. We see a lot of yellow, especially in the American culture. Yellow is a very dominant color. Other cultures can be more in the violets and blues.
Yeah. So green is a color it's also a common color. And if green is in the top, that means they're social and they have the potential to be a healer. That would be either like a teacher, a nurse, doctor, spiritual healer, mother, anything to help others, help other people. So that's what green means. And you can see here, green and yellow are kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They go hand in hand all the time. And then we'll go through these other colors in a minute here. Blue is a color that typically will come in if it's on the left side, which I'll tell you what that means in a few minutes. But if it typically will not stay when we're doing the reading. It'll fade in and out, and then it'll lock in, because blue is going to be helping and caring of others and cool and calm. Well, no one's cool and calm 100% of the time. That's why it doesn't stay the whole time during the reading. And then if blue goes up in the top, that means you're just really a caring, loving person helping others. And then if the person is really a caring, loving, helping others, they even have a blue center. And then indigo Indigo is just a little bit darker color of a blue. And indigo, the big word for indigo is intuitive. So we're starting to get into the spiritual part now of the people that are spiritual, they're sensitive, have deep feelings, and intuitive are really the two big words. And it's also related to the third eye. Violet is now we're really getting into the intuitive colors. And this is where it's very spiritual, magical, intuitive. And then the farther down we go, it's the more spiritual we get with the violet, lavender, and white. And then white, when it gets to white, that is for us, the software doesn't actually show exactly the white. It's going to be just a different color of the violet. That's the most, and then that's going to be very spiritual and then connecting into the higher dimensions. So these are examples of different aura colors and personalities. And on the left side, this shows you your 360-degree aura. So that's why it's important to see the 360-degree, because in the top quadrant is going to be your mental state. On the right side of the photo, this is where what you're attracting into your aura field. On the left side of this photo is what others experience from your aura. The center is your personality, and your bottom is your grounding. So in the photo, you only see the top, left, and right. So that's why you need the 360-degree aura. These photos show just a different variety. This shows all these different colors. This person here is going to be more analytical and adventurous. And then on this side of the aura is what others see. They're social and communicative. This person has more green up here. This is green on top. They have social and potential to be a healer. And then coming down here, we're getting into the spiritual ones. Blue is cool and calm in the top. Indigo is intuitive. Green coming in, that's social, helping others. And then down here, we're getting even more spiritual. When you have violet on the top, that's the most spiritual color. Violet and indigo are like peanut butter and jelly for the spiritual people, and they go hand in hand. And then she has green coming in, which is like helping others, interpersonal relations. This person's very analytical. As I mentioned, he has yellow all the way across, and that was correct for him. And then this person is very spiritual. This is violet and blue. So this one, I mentioned what the sides, I think I've already kind of gone over this, but the center, as I mentioned, the center of the aura, again, is your personality. The left side is what's energy coming in. Right side is, that's the right side of your body, and that's what others experience from your aura. So left side of your body, that's the yin energy coming in. The right side of your body, that's the yang, that's the energy, what others experience from your aura. And then the bottom is, again, that's your grounding. And then these are different, this shows what the different aura chakra colors mean. And violet, as mentioned, is visual, spiritual, wise. Indigo, it's intuitive. Blue is calm, cool and calm. Green is going to be a social, as I mentioned, a natural healer. Yellow is analytical, intelligent, and also funny too. That's also humorous, is also with the yellow. Orange is more, it's in the creative with the with your creative, unique expression. It's also adventurous. And then red is the hardcore, competitive, drive, ambitious. It's also, if you have a really difficult life, fight or flight or something like that.
So now that you kind of looked at this, you can see if you have a feeling for your own aura personality. It's hard to assess yourself. Other people seem to be able to say that somebody is exactly that thing. And again, if you have a combination of a top, bottom, left, right, and center. You can be many, many, many things. You're not just one core personality. That's what makes this so interesting. But for tonight, if you maybe want to just tap in with your own intuition, what you think your core personality might be and your aura color might be. And some of the things that give you a hint are the job that you do. And then also like what motivates you in life. Is it helping others? Is it being loving? Is it having fun and being adventurous? Is it getting stuff done? Is it being more spiritual and kind of floating around and being more, higher vibration and not really wanting to get things done? Those are all clues that you can use. So a lot of people ask us this question. So Jim, maybe you can tell people a little bit about the aura and if it changes or not.
Yeah, this is probably the most common question that I have is can auras change? If you can go forward. Well, this.
Yeah, that's Jim's now.
Yeah, this is mine. And the answer is yes. Although my aura has stayed the same for about 8 months. My photo on the left, this is when I was a mechanical engineer. And you can see on the right, I had analytical coming in. I've always done spiritual work. So I still have some of that healer part up top, helping others, and then cool and calm. But you can see after doing this, the aura work and lots of severe or of heavy meditation and changing lifestyles, it's changed from more of the on the left to the right. And this is going to be indigo on the top, which is intuitive. Coming in is cool and calm. It was just really nice to not have to work for a corporation after 22 years. And then others experience my spirituality. So that's a complete change in my aura. Does it happen overnight? No. This is usually, that's why I call it the macro. You work on your chakras on a day-to-day basis. And then over time, if there's a change in your life, your auras will change.
Great. And mine changed too. Same idea that I was doing very analytical work, more business oriented, a little bit more focused on sales and marketing and things like that. And then as I was doing healing in the store, I also became more violet and blue. And you can feel the difference in yourself when you make the change. A lot of times the change happens when there's a big lifestyle change. And it definitely happens if you're doing the meditation and the spiritual consciousness work. Any work you do that raises your vibration will probably bring you closer in alignment with the spiritual qualities. And that doesn't mean it will always show up in your aura. It can show up in your chakras. So let's talk a little bit now about your chakras and how to heal and balance them to increase your performance and also to decrease stress and anxiety. And if any of you are like me lately, it seems like all you have to do is pick up your phone, have it ping and beep, read the news. There's just a lot of things that can add a lot of stress and anxiety to our day. And knowing more about your chakras can help in that respect. So again, let's just talk about the 7 chakras and we'll talk about the root. And there is a correlation between the aura colors and the chakras, but it's not a direct correlation. Like macro, micro, what Jim was saying is pretty much the idea. So whereas in your aura, being a red personality is probably not what anybody wants to be, because it would definitely show that the person is living in kind of fight or flight. The root chakra expresses the same idea. It's all about belonging and feeling rooted in your body and grounded. So a high root is somebody who's going to be successful, ambitious, competent. Oftentimes parents have strong roots. People in relationships have a strong root. People who are coming from a family of origin where they feel safe and they had a childhood that was safe have a medium to high root. The people who have a low root chakra are experiencing trauma from childhood that is still something anchored deep in their energy field. It's also people who are having certain kinds of health problems back problems, skeletal problems, often more serious problems like cancer and things like that. And it's people who have had trauma from a divorce, moving, changing jobs. So something that's changed that makes them feel ungrounded. Of all the chakras, there are some that are easy to feel into and see if you think you're high or low, and others that are hard. The root is one where you can definitely feel like if you feel like you're rooted. The benefit of being rooted is it allows you, I think of it like playing music, and you have the chords of music. And the more rooted you are, the more you're able to play all kinds of vibrational music with your energy field. And it's like having all the notes. And the people who are low energy in the root, the only good reason to be low in the root is that you're so spiritual and you're so outside your body because you're able to access the crown energy, that being rooted is no longer useful. But if you're working and raising a family and living most of our lives that are busy and energetic, having a strong root is key. So the sacral energy is really, or is the color orange, and it represents our passions, our desires, our creativity, and really our feelings. So the people who have a high sacral are typically people who know how to have fun. I say they put their oxygen mask on first, and then they take care of everybody else. It's very much not hard for them to enjoy life and to find the moments they need in it to replenish. The sacral energy is a very feminine energy. We call it the sacred feminine divine energy, and it's the belly area. So for women especially, sacral is very important, and women will, starting from puberty, start to see their sacral go up and down. And then as they go through their cycle, it can go up and down. And then as they go through menopause, it changes as well. But women hold a lot of feelings in their stomach area. Men do too. But we also have the endocrine system and the reproductive organs. So the sacral is something that's always something women specifically should check into. If you have any issues with your health in the belly area or the reproductive organs, then you may have an issue with your sacral chakra. So the solar plexus is the yellow color. And this is that analytical yellow that Jim showed you in his slides. This is a very, I'll call it acidic energy. The color yellow is a perfect color for this because this is all about the gut area and using the gut and using a pushing, doing energy. But people who have a strong solar plexus, they just are very motivated by accomplishing things, using that analytical intelligence, self-confidence. They have a strong ego. And people with a high solar plexus are often able to get things done, and they have the ability to have a life that's very successful. The challenge with this yellow energy is that people who have too much of this energy and they have a very spiritual energy, or they're more those green people and blue and violet people, this energy can be too acidic, and it can cause all kinds of issues with inflammation, especially in the gut, acid reflux, pancreas, gallbladder, and things like that. A good question to ask yourself when you're trying to assess the feeling of a chakra, is it high or is it low? Is it blocked or is it open? Is to ask yourself where, when you feel stress, do you feel it in your body? So just ask yourself that. Some people feel it in their stomach, like a punch in the stomach. Some people definitely feel it in the solar plexus. People often say it's the heart. And we also get a lot of people tell us the shoulders and neck, which would be more the throat. If somebody says all over, it's typically more the upper chakras and the crown. So let's talk about the heart. The heart, we always think of the heart as love, but it's 3 different kinds of love. However, it's really the ability to be open-hearted, to give love, receive love, and love ourselves. And the love ourselves part is very hard for a lot of people, especially yellow people who are not that interested in that part of their energy field. They're more interested in getting things done. And as a result, they often have a lower heart. But an expanded heart looks like somebody who's incredibly compassionate, generous, selfless, and they're not afraid of having an expanded heart, which often also means that they have really good boundaries and they've been able to use their aura to protect their heart, which is something that we can talk about a little bit later, is some of the techniques that you can use to use your aura and your chakras together to kind of create the right kind of self-affirming behaviors to allow you to expand. The throat chakra, Jim mentioned, these are our teachers and our social workers. Often parents also have a high throat chakra. The throat is really about speaking and saying what you need to say, and it's about trusting what you're saying. Introverts often do have a lower throat chakra, and people who aren't really confident in what they're saying have a lower throat. And then if you have any issues with asthma or allergies, your heart could be low. If you have issues with upper respiratory, often it's the throat. The third eye, this is a really interesting chakra. Definitely the first of the spiritual ones. The first three are called physical chakras. The heart and the throat are a bridge. And then the third eye and the crown are getting into the spiritual chakras. And the third eye is the pineal gland. It's right in between your eyes, inside your brain. And when this gland is activated, we have psychic powers, intuition, clairvoyance, inner wisdom. And it's very much about trusting ourselves. A lot of people who have an expanded third eye know that they do. Sometimes you can have it be high and then it can be low. What makes it shut down is when we don't want to know. Oftentimes too much that needs to happen, too much change, too much information coming in, not the right time. This will have an impact on the third eye. But if you want your third eye to be there for you, and it's a great chakra to really work on because it really is like a superpower. Meditation is key for all of them, but meditation for the third eye especially. And then games of synchronicity, noticing things that are happening that are magical more, and then finding ways to play with that kind of synchronicity so that it is seeing that you're observing it. And then the third eye is like a very playful mentor. It loves that you notice it. Could be finding a feather on the ground. It could be seeing your angel numbers. It could be thinking of somebody and the next day they call you. These are all things that are coming from an expanded third eye. And then the crown. The crown is really the ultimate chakra to open and work on. But it's not an easy one because there's only 2 ways to open your crown and get your crown to come in bigger. Some people are naturally expanded in the crown, and typically these are people who are very religious or have faith and a deep connection to something that I would call a higher consciousness or something bigger than themselves. The other way, and so that requires meditation and prayer and calming of the nervous system. The other way that people expand their crown is using like Kundalini energy, where they're pushing the energy from below and pushing it out through the top of the crown. So there are patterns. You saw the graph that we had before, and everybody can have anywhere from a 1, let's say, to a 9 in our software. That's how we think of chakras. You could think of them as open or closed, expanded or contracted. And one of the ways that you can self-assess is to put your hand over your own body, kind of like doing Reiki, and then closing your eyes and asking yourself, what does it feel like? You could also write down a number for each chakra intuitively and see what it says, and see if you can maybe self-assess that way. So that question I asked earlier, where do you feel stress in your body and when do you feel it? That is the key question. In the end, if you don't know all of your chakras, at least if you understand where you hold energy and where your nervous system has created certain specific connections that trigger a feeling of overcoming, a feeling of sort of like density of stuckness. And that would be a good chakra to immediately start working on. For myself, my solar plexus has often been a challenging part of my energy field because I push myself very far. It creates a lot of issues and challenges because I don't really choose to stop it. I think of that adrenal rush and cortisol rush as like a superpower. And so that's taxed me. And I've had lots of health issues in the solar plexus area. Jim, are there certain areas for you that you've noticed that you hold your energy and you feel the most stress?
Well, it has been my throat when I was an engineer, but now it's kind of opened up after putting a lot of communication aromatherapy on. One thing that I've noticed after doing all these readings is that when the client goes through and it starts on the aromatherapy, I found out that the ones that they like the best are their highest chakras from the software. And the ones where they may not care as much for the smell, it's going to be their lower chakras. So it's like a reverse, it's a reverse thing here. So I mean, it's very accurate. So when we have people like bridesmaids come in and we don't have time to give them all their aura readings, we can have them smell all the different chakra oils. And the ones they don't care for too much is probably their lower chakras.
It's part of that is vibrational. So the essential oils also are vibrational, just like the chakras. And think of it like a lock and a key. It's kind of like eating spinach. You know, we all need iron, but if you're, you know, you don't like spinach, you're not going to get enough iron and you might need it. And oftentimes there's very specific scents and oils that people either don't smell or don't like. And typically that's true. They're the ones where they're low. So, you know, how do you balance your chakras? Jim is great at this. He meditates every day. I'm not a great meditator, but I do visualization and affirmation. Another thing, Jim uses crystals. So at home, we often have crystals. And we give a crystal away to people when they get an aura reading for a low chakra. Part of this is to let them understand that the crystals are vibrational as well. Specific rocks have specific properties. Of course, the color of the rock can also tie in with a chakra, but crystals can really help with balancing chakras. Do you want to just add anything on that since you're the crystal expert?
Yeah, I have a variety of crystals, and I will, once I do an aura reading for someone and I'll see their low chakra, sometimes though they'll have more than one chakra that has the same low number. So then I'll have to ask them. Where do they feel anxiety or stress, and I'll mention those two low chakras, and wherever they feel it the most. More often than not, I will give them a crystal of that color. Typically, I will tell them a color and the type of crystal, and then I'll let them pick the type of crystal that matches that color. Usually their first impressions are the best. Then I will hold the crystal for about 5 seconds and send pure white light, Reiki energy to help activate the crystal. And then I'll recommend that they keep it in their pocket. And then I will also mention even 10 minutes a day of meditation with the crystal, you can help balance all your chakras.
So many of you may be doing yoga. That's a great way. Reiki is a wonderful way to heal chakras. So is acupuncture. Any healing modality that is either with hands or without hands, but that's energetically focused. Certain foods, simple thing, look at the color of the food and match it to the color of the chakra, and that's typically a food for that chakra. The root chakra, which is really key, like we said, it's a foundation chakra. Most important thing there is negative ions. So spending time outside in the mountains, in the ocean, connecting with Mother Earth, that will replenish the root chakra. One of the things we've noticed, because we do get a lot of bridesmaids, as Jim mentioned, and sometimes they come and they've had a lot to drink. Often they have very bad chakras or low chakras, and the root is often one, if you're very tired or you're hungover or you've been having too much fun, that will show most of the impact of that. And aromatherapy and breath work, you know, that is what we use in our life, and that's what we practice and share, is how these essential oils can help. You know, we talked a little bit about aura size, and, you know, size matters in the sense that a small aura is typically somebody that has low chakras. And a larger aura is somebody who has higher chakras. The highest aura we've seen was like 70%,
I believe
which
so.
is like about a foot and a half past the tip of your fingers. The gentleman was the postmaster general of his state, and he had a huge aura. Most people are 50%,
40%.
40%, 50% then would be really considered big. And 30% is somebody who really is needing to do some work expanding their energy field. Most people will be about 40%. So, I don't know if you answered this question yet, but see if you figured that out. Jim, why don't you tell everybody how to make their aura size bigger? Because that's a really big tip.
About 10% of everyone that I do with the readings are going to have a 30% aura, which is a little smaller than I'd like. That's going to be somewhere between their outer perimeters, about 2 and 2.5 feet from their body. And ways to make your aura bigger is spending time outside, especially in the mountains or near the water, because those naturally have negative ions, and your aura will get bigger naturally around negative ions. Now it'll get smaller with positive ions. So for example, you don't want to, anyone in California in the Santa Ana winds, you don't want to be outside in those heavy winds. Those are positive ions and can make your aura actually smaller. And in a worst case, can actually make you sick. And other things you can do to make your aura bigger, well, you can do meditation, yoga, use your intention, your intuition. You can will your aura larger. I had a lady the other day who was able to push her aura bigger. It was amazing. She could go from like a 40 to a 60% aura just by willing it bigger in real time. I could see it with the divining rods. So again, making your aura larger, if you're low on your chakras, that's the first thing. Steadily low on your chakras, almost always that shows that you have a smaller aura. And that's the first thing that I do is I show them how to increase the aura size. And this is actually the easiest thing to do to increase your overall chakra size.
The other thing is if you're, let's say, doing a presentation, speaking in public, make your aura bigger. People will feel your energy from anywhere. If you're, let's say, traveling, a woman alone, and you feel unsafe, you can make your aura smaller so that you're not noticed. Or the opposite, make it bigger so that people feel like they can't really mess with you. So your aura is a tool that you may not think about. It's there. Think of it as a white bubble of white light all around you. And anybody who bumps into you or comes into your energy field is bringing their energy, and it has an impact on you. So we're going to pause for a second. If there were any questions, we can't see the questions with the presentation screen. So I don't know, Rebecca, if there was anything that came in, did you want to share now? Oh.
Oops, that's not what we want.
No. Okay, then we're just going to go.
Yeah, if anybody wants to type in the chat or raise their hand, if you have any questions, I guess typing in chat is the easiest thing. Go ahead and do that, but they'll go ahead and continue on, and then we'll take another break for questions.
You bet. So, your company matters. This was an example of a couple. The couple did individual aura readings, and then they did something we do. It was an experiment. We started doing this to see what kind of data we would get, which is one of them would put their hand on the scanner and hold the hand of the other, and we would be able to see if it had any impact on them. We do this also with pets sometimes. And what you can see is here was her chakras, and this was hers. And then the combine, the root went up, the solar plexus went up, the sacral went down. It's not always that everything goes up, but the heart went up, and this person's heart went up, and then everything else kind of was steady. Jim, you want to just add anything to this kind of experiment, some of the data that you've seen?
Yeah, this is actually something that we did. It's not actually designed through the software. And when we do couples, we're actually, we don't do it all the time, unless it's with pets. because we're not we're not marriage counselors or anything like that. And if I don't feel that it's the right energy between a couple, I won't do it, because the last thing I want is to have negative, really low chakras when they hold hands. And but overall, we've had very positive results doing this.
Yeah, and something always increases. With the pets, we often notice that the heart chakra increases and that the pets help with grounding.
Yeah.
And so that's a really beautiful thing. We always know that our pets make us feel safe and grounded. And it actually does show up in the chakras when you touch your pet or hold your pet while your hand is on the scanner. So let's talk about just how to take this information to create a soul aligned life where you're not left behind. And the reason I say that is because one of the things that I've noticed now after almost 1,300 aura readings and chakra healings, because Jim does the aura reading and then I'll work with the person on their chakras. And his piece is very analytical and data driven, and mine is a little bit more intuitive and interpreting. It's kind of like I look at the chakra graph, look at the aura, and then through the breath work and conversation, that's where I get to do a little bit of that life coaching. And one of the things that I see is that probably only 20% of that 1,300, the people were really masters of their energy. Most of us just have what we have and we get what we get. And we have some really cool things going on, some very dominant things around personality and also around our chakras. But in many cases, we're pushing ourselves a little too hard, and we're not always aligned with who we are meant to be in this world as a vibrational human. And we're overcompensating in certain areas. So not leaving yourself behind looks like trying to be more integrated energetically. So here's some of the questions that I ask people. And that often have a correlation to a chakra being high or low. Are you happy? Does your life give you joy? This would be a root chakra, a sacral chakra, and a heart chakra kind of question. Are the people you work with giving you energy or taking energy away? This would really be more like a aura size question. But it's also a throat and a heart question. A lot of people, I don't know, more than we would like, unfortunately, in the workplace, we find that a lot of people who are leaders and managers are also maybe narcissistic or have certain kinds of personalities, and they are energy takers. And if you're not understanding how to protect your energy field, it will have a massive impact on how you feel every day when you go to work. And I think that's why people don't like their jobs. It's not really that they don't like the work, it's they don't like the energy of the workplace. And a lot of the energy of the workplace is energy that's taking and not giving back. When they do management training, what they should really teach people is how to give energy and support people that way instead of just traditional leadership conversations. Because it's not just praise, it's like, is the person who's responsible for your effectiveness, your career, a person who's actually allowing your energy to be used at its ultimate, with all the things that you're naturally gifted at being expanded and not shut down. Are you holding energy in your chakras? Again, this question is, where do you feel it in your body? If you have illness, something with mental challenge or lack of energy, very often we think of that as a health thing, but it is also a chakra that is just not functioning and is blocked. And because the chakras kind of interact with each other, a low, let's say solar plexus chakra could make you not feel like you have energy. But if you also then have a low third eye, then you don't know why. You could have a low sacral energy, which is this part of you, which would be feeling. And then you could also have a low heart. And the reality is those two are very connected. There's a reason your heart is low and your feelings are not expanded. You're protecting both of those things. things like that. Do you feel inspired? Do you have flow? Often inspiration and flow are coming from the sacral and the third eye. Are you trusting yourself? That's very much a question for the third eye, but also the throat. Do you feel hopeful? This is really third eye and crown. And can you see where you want to go? Another great third eye question. So one of the things to be a superpower, and Jim, often when he's doing an aura session, anybody who has 4 and above on all the chakras, he tells them they're a rock star, and he gives them a special crystal. He gives them a rutilated quartz, which is a very special crystal. But what makes them a superpower, a rock star, is that they have the high chakras, but they also have an aura color and the chakras that are aligned. So this would mean that a spiritual person who's very purple, let's say in violet, those chakras are healthy. When you have somebody whose aura color and their chakras are not correlating, that's definitely a sign that there's an imbalance, even if their other chakras are high. So for instance, if you have a yellow aura and you have a high solar plexus, that would be terrific. So is your color personality aligned with your lifestyle? For instance, if you need to communicate and get your voice heard, and let's say you're a manager or a teacher or a social worker, and you have a low throat chakra, you're probably going to have a feeling like things aren't that easy and you're going to be suffering in some way. There's this other concept of partnering chakras. Like I said, you can bring in 2 chakras together. A third eye is wonderful. If, let's say, you're an entrepreneur and you're a visionary, having a big third eye would be a really helpful thing. And let's say you combine that with your sacral chakra and you're creative, this would look like, wow, you're really flowing and you're totally in touch with what it is you need to be doing and how you're expressing it, and you feel really good about it and confident about it. So the last part of this is really this notion that Jim and I live by, which is this idea of adoring ourselves. And this is one of the things that we see a lot, especially in the American culture, where we get a lot of people who are yellow. And we get a lot of people who have low heart chakras. This is a really like a phenomenon in a way, and it's very cultural. So what does it mean to adore yourself? Adoring yourself means that the voices that you hear that are yours, that are that left shoulder, the right shoulder, constantly chit-chatting and talking to you and telling you what's going on and if you're good enough, those voices really need to be controlled by you. And one of the ways is to really focus on celebrating all your wins. When you celebrate your wins, the big ones and the small ones, it will help you expand your heart chakra. And an expanded heart chakra is one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself. And one of the things that's the hardest to do unless you're comfortable having an expanded aura and an open heart. The other thing is feeling into your resistance and noticing where there is resistance. Noticing if you don't want to see something, which might be your third eye being shut down. Noticing if you don't have the energy. Noticing if you just don't want to do the fun things for yourself and you'd rather do the work. Any resistance is something to work on, and because what resists persists, and we want to actually not do that anymore. Knowing when you have weaknesses and asking for support. We do have times when people cry when they smell the essential oils. And one of the reasons they cry is because when they literally see that their heart is low and they felt that their heart was low, and they have this opportunity to take a deep breath and accept that, it can actually help them clear that energy. And the tears is a way of clearing and asking for support. Taking time off to replenish. We all know we're supposed to do it, but we're such a burnout culture. Adoring yourself means that you don't get to the burnout point. And being compassionate to raise your vibration. This is a lesson that I've had to learn. I'm very much focused on the doing and not the being. And that often means that I don't have time to really acknowledge all the people who want to be around my energy field. But when I'm more compassionate, more loving, and more generous with others, it actually helps me. So I've learned to recalibrate. And then using that boundary for your aura. And a big one is supporting your solar plexus energy and your gut so that you don't get adrenal overload. We all have today, the pinging, binging phones and the emails coming in, and just so driven by data and stimulus, and all of these things end up hurting us, especially in the solar plexus area. So, don't forget to include mindful practices during your day to feel better anytime, anywhere. And these are some of the ones that we love. Start your day grounded. That's all about the root. I love breathing in orange as a color and directing an orange breath into my belly, which will help bliss out your sacral. Imagining yourself shining bright, like you're this bright yellow color, or white and shining, or gold. This is going to help pump up your solar plexus. Being open-hearted. This is adding compassion and joy to every task that you do. And speaking your truth is going to activate your throat. Tuning into your intuition, which is inviting in your third eye, and then invite in the energy from above. This is an energy that's outside of you that is divine, and it is something that you have to reach for to bring in. And open your crown up so that this energy can come in and replenish you. This is a little chart. It's on our website and it's available. This is another way that you can self-assess. Up here is the name of the chakra oil we created. This is the chakra. These are the elements. This is how you want to feel and how you don't want to feel. And then each chakra has many, many crystals. These are some of them, and many oils. These are some of them. And these are the names of the corresponding aura layers that correspond to the chakras. Great. So that is the presentation, and we're happy to take any questions, and we'll get out of presentation mode and
Yes, there you go.
get out of screen sharing. Let's see, stop share. There you go. Great.
Yeah, we
I
did
see.
have a question here in
Yes.
chat from Anita. It says, I've heard that famous people have very big auras. How does that work if they are famous, but not necessarily a good person?
Well, auras have nothing to do whether you're a good or a bad person. When I do a reading, a lot of people are nervous when they have their hand on the reader, and they're worried they're going to have a bad aura. And the first thing I said is, don't worry, there's no such thing as a bad aura. Now, most everyone have chakras to bring up, but a bad person is not going to have a bad aura. It's just going to, their badness, or whatever you want to call that, it's not shown, it's not seen in their aura.
Mm-hmm. What I would say anecdotally is, like I mentioned, the gentleman who was had the 70% aura, and he was there with his wife, and her chakras were good, but she had like a really low heart and a couple of other things. And when you saw them interact, what you saw is that his gigantic aura made him not able to get anybody in, including his wife. It was like she was outside of the aura saying, let me in, and he wasn't letting her in. So the thing about a big aura, and why famous people often have them, is it's a great barrier and protection from letting people in, because the more people come in, the more it affects your energy field. So they've learned to keep the energy out so that they can vibrate high. But it's also a challenging thing if you want to have other people be able to access you.
With a big aura and you're famous, that also allows people to see you, feel you, and hear you better. The bigger your aura is, and when people that have the biggest auras, they can just walk into a room and you can just know by their presence that they're there.
Yeah, and you've all felt it, right? Walk in a room and you can feel somebody sucking the energy out of a group, let's say, or somebody who's attracting everybody to them. Typically what you're feeling is their chakras and their aura and a high vibration. So how often does an aura change? It can change. it can change, let's just say, but it often changes if you've had a big change in what you're doing and energetically. So if all you're doing is the same thing all the time, your aura is not going to change very much. But let's say all of a sudden you quit your job and you take 6 months off and you meditate and do yoga every day, and you start to move towards a new career that is going to feel like it's something you've always wanted to do, big chance that your aura colors will have changed at that point because your vibration has changed.
So what happens is that you work on your chakras on a day-to-day basis. And then over time, those chakras that have changed will, over time, change your aura.
Great.
Yeah, guys, I was going to say that when we, one easy way to work on your chakras then, which you mentioned, was just like breathing with them, but we can also then put our hands over a chakra, right, and breathe there. And with that hand also and our awareness connecting, that can also enhance that chakra, right?
Absolutely. I call it fluffing your chakra. So you can do Reiki on yourself. You can put your hands up in the air and, take a minute and bring in energy. I call it energy of above. And then if you lower your hands in front of you and you kind of push your hands together, you can feel an energy bubble. And that energy bubble would be like your energy. So then if you sliced it in half and you took your own hand and did Reiki on yourself, you can, fluff your chakra. So you put your hand anywhere and do that. Now you can do that to another person as well. It always seems like healing someone else makes more sense than healing ourselves. So like it would be easy to go to get Reiki and have somebody work on you, but you can work on yourself. If you start doing this more, you'll wake up in the morning and you'll notice your hands on certain parts of your body. You won't even know it. It's completely subconscious. And you're basically putting your hands there because you're doing that kind of healing while you're sleeping and doing it to yourself. And the idea would be that you heal yourself.
Another thing you can do is I work with crystals, as Laura mentioned. There's different crystals that work better for each chakra. Crystals are basically like an amplifier. They will help you help yourself. So when you meditate, you can have a crystal, or you could, if you wanted to, have a crystal for each chakra is what I do. And it's all about breathing and having the crystal. For example, for my root chakra, in the head or third eye, I have a special big crystal that I put on the right of my third eye. And when I breathe in, I'll breathe straight through the crystal right into my third eye. And it's an amplifier, and I can clearly feel it.
Let's see a couple other questions.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Laura, real quick, I noticed you were moving your hand. Were you doing that clockwise then over it?
Yeah, so the chakras are like a vortex. Think of it as a cone, and clockwise kind of spins it. Think of it like you're spinning it like a little funnel. And so that should definitely help with kind of creating vibration, but you don't always have to do that. You can also just keep your hands still. The affirmation or the desire, right? Adding the intention is key. A breath is key. You can add color to your breath or to your visualization because the color is vibrational. Holding a crystal, all of these things are different ways to add juice to this idea of moving energy. And you can work on one chakra and it'll work on all of them, but you can also focus on specific chakras. I see a couple of questions here about holes.
Yeah, about 10% of the aura readings that I do, they will have holes in their chakra. And you will see that in their 360-degree aura when it's rotating around. And typically when you have a hole, what we like to see is you like it to be whole. In other words, no holes. If you do have holes, most of the time that's going to correspond to a low chakra area when we look at their chakras. And what I tell the customer is that when you do have holes, those are areas of improvement needed. That's basically what that is.
So for instance, my father, who's 86, has melanoma or has had melanoma and neuropathy. And he did his aura reading and he had lots of holes. They were all in the lower part of his body, the root chakra area, because that's where that kind of thing would show. But he had a very high root chakra because he's a vegetarian. He exercises every day. He is incredibly disciplined about his health, and he's very grounded. So it shows up in his aura, but it was not showing up in his chakras because he is actually working on that. But anything that would be a big health issue would show up in the field, the aura field. And if it's not being dealt with, it's usually a low chakra. If it's being dealt with, then the chakra is healthy. So that's one of the ways that you know if a person has an issue. The other day, we had a young woman who had a really low third eye, and she told us that she had actually had a cyst on her pineal gland, and her third eye was a 1. So we don't know if she can get her third eye back if she had a cyst and if that will heal or not, but it literally showed up in her chakras and it was a health issue. Let's see some of these others. The readings, we do walk-ins at the Grove Arcade, and we do by appointment. So you can book if you want to do that. An aura reading takes about 10-15 minutes with Jim and about 10 minutes with me. And on our website, ADORAtherapy.com, there's a tab that says Aura Therapy. It tells you all about the different price points, what each one offers, and then you can also book, and then you can also check out our hours. We're not there, Jim is not there every day, but as we get into the spring, if you're local, you can come visit us almost 5 days a week. Jim is there doing aura readings. Let's see what else. Can it result in permanent or temporary change? The aura isn't permanent. It's gonna change. If some of you have done an aura reading with, let's say, somebody who does the Kirlian photography, it's typically a Polaroid, and you get that really cool vintage Polaroid. We've done that. We did that in Chinatown a few years ago, and our auras were like purple and blue and white, and it was, you know, hard to interpret. We had to go online and figure out what those colors meant. So those colors may be very different than the colors that you would see on our software, because the aura colors are not actually coming from the camera visualizing them or picking them up. It's all like data that's interpreting a scanner of your hand that's taking all that data, and it knows that this means this color and that means that color, and then it's interpreting it by putting your picture inside of those colors. So it's quite different. And Jim's used other aura technology, like a psychic who was at one of the fairs and did his aura, and his aura was black. Which on our software you would never see a black aura. Yeah, it was very, very dark. And you know, she said it was because he was psychic or something.
It was a camera that had some kind of fitting on this really fancy camera, and that was it. And it's very beneficial. It's a good way to do your aura. It definitely has its place. It's not comparable to this. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
So this gives a lot more.
And
data.
psychics can see your aura. Oftentimes they're only seeing a dominant color. And we have tested that with people who've said, oh, I'm psychic. And I can sort of see, and we'll say, okay, well, what do you see? And they say, I think it's gold. And then the person will have a very yellow aura. And so I think people who can see auras do see, but they're often seeing like the dominant color. So what we're showing you that are these kind of categories. This is very specific to this software and how they've created context around this data. There's no better or truest way. The most important thing is, again, understanding how you're vibrating and raising your vibe, as Rebecca would say.
Can we do virtual aura readings? No, we can't.
Yeah, not easy to do that. Now, some of you bought the aromatherapy kit. Thank you for signing up for that. So if you did buy the kit, reach out if you participated in this, and we'll match up your name and we'll give you a gift card to reimburse you for the shipping. And you got the complimentary aromatherapy. So we have 7 different oils. Those of you who have them, what you could do with them is do a little tasting, just like you would if you were doing a wine tasting. Open them up, lay the little cards out. They have different colors. They explain what each one is. One side has an affirmation. The other side has some ingredients. put them on. You can also put them on a little piece of paper so you don't have them all on your body. Bring them to your nose, breathe in. And do you like it or don't you like it? Did you feel anything when you smelled it? Did something feel like it expanded or did something retract? Make a note, give it a score, 1 through 10. I liked it, I didn't like it. If you have anything you want to say about it, that it reminded you of something, you can write that down. And then as you go through all 7, just see if you can decide which ones you like the most and which ones you didn't like. And as Jim said, oftentimes the ones you didn't like are ones that you might need. And the other way, like Robert said, is you can use your hand, you can kind of scan yourself and see if you feel if it's open or not. When you breathe them in, you can add the color. So like I often tell people, like if you're breathing in your heart chakra, add green. If you're bringing in your throat, breathe in blue and swirl that color in that part of the body as you're breathing in. That is a great way to use those oils to help with your healing, and then use them in a daily practice and ritual of affirmation and breath work. And see if you can create like combinations that will match what you're doing during that day. Let's say you have a busy day. Maybe you want to put the motivation on for your solar plexus. And let's say you have to speak something on your throat. Let's say you're going to do meditation. Put the third eye one on. Doing yoga, maybe you want third eye and crown. Let's say you're going to go for a walk and then you have a lot of errands to do. You might want to do your grounding and your root. So you can create new practices every day that make you conscious and aware of your vibration. And the same way that if you wanted to exercise, you would schedule that. And if you wanted to drink more water, you might make your water have a flavor. So you drink more water. And you carry a water bottle with you, so you drink more. You, by just taking a breath every day and visualizing that breath, healing your chakra, moving the energy in your chakra, expanding your aura field, you can definitely do a major healing like no other. You don't need to go to your Reiki master. You don't need to go to anyone else. And if you have a partner in your life, you can also do this healing for each other. I like to put orange energy in Jim's belly in the morning, and oftentimes he'll put other energy in my heart, and we'll do this before getting out of bed. And this is a way for us to remind each other that even though we're in relationship in other ways, we're still sharing energy and needing to replenish energy, and we do not have the same energy, and so we can give back in that way.
When
Guys,
you
this is
meditate,
great. I'm glad you mentioned your oils, but don't forget about your sprays, because I love using my sprays too, right?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, we make aura sprays. Yeah, aura sprays too. So yeah, if anybody checks out the website and you've been on this, reach out. We're happy to give you a discount code. We always love it if you can come in the store if you're local, because then you can smell everything. We have samplers on the website, so you can actually try things for not a lot of money and try as many things as you want. But we really appreciate everybody today listening and, you know, being able to share this journey that we've been on to really understand this other aspect of energy that we weren't using in our life. We were doing a lot of the things, but we had no real context to live it by. And now we love this language of the aura and the chakras to help us understand if we're aligned and if we're living our best life. And so hopefully this will be helpful to you too.
Thank you. That was so informative. And I even have been and done all this, but I actually got so much even more out of this presentation. So that was fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Is there any other questions before we come to a close here? Good.
Yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to Rebecca, we'll share a discount code for anybody who's on the call if you're interested. And yeah, if you do come by the Grove Arcade, let us know that you attended this. We can't wait to meet you, and we adore you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Again, ADORAtherapy.com. And then you have an Instagram as well that you can connect with and get on the newsletter. But I really enjoyed getting to know you, and you've gotten to know our whole family. So
I know.
it's been fantastic. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Robert. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Have
Good
a great
night,
evening,
everybody.
everybody.